Welcome to PSIR Edge. It is a group by the people, of the people, and for the people. It's an innovative student led initiative for the peer to peer learning among the aspirants to foster the spirit of cooperation and collaboration. Back to Basics is aimed at having a very fast, quick revision of political science optional. It is ideally suited for someone who has gone through subject at least once. How do we proceed about it? So at first we will have a quick reading of topper notes, and then everybody will be given chance to add value, and we can have a debate and discussion on the topic concerned. Every day we will meet on Telegram channel PSIR Edge at 7:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. and we shall aim to finish topic by topic starting with paper 1 section 1. If you are interested, please join the Telegram group as mentioned on the screen and the description box below.
Okay, all right, friends. So I have started the recording. Welcome to B2B. Today's topic is topic number 10, Western political thought. We'll be focusing on Gramsci and Hannah Arendt. ठीक है, स्टार्ट कर लीजिए.
मैं करता हूँ. Gramsci intro. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Intro. Gramsci was a contemporary of Mussolini. He has written prison notebooks in which he gives the concept of integral state with the economic structure, civil society and the state combined. We shall study. He belongs to the age 1891 to 1937 and he was also contemporary to Gandhi. He was founder of Communist Party of Italy, which means that he was also practicing communist. He was concerned about the Marxist predictions not coming true, that it will be automatic revolution. He reanalyzed the Marx understanding of history and saved Marxism from economic determinism, that is monocausal explanation criticized by Weber. He was Marxist and he is called theoretician of superstructures by N. Bobin या something कुछ है आगे मिलेगा. Influences, he had influences of Benedetto Croce, who had given the concept of cultural factors is shaping history. So using this idea he will give autonomy to superstructure. He was also influenced by Machiavelli and Karl Marx, obviously. Books, prison notebooks and modern prince. He has key principles. He used his cultural hegemony. Now we shall move to his idea of explanation of history. Marx had given historical materialism, that is economic structure is the basic structure of society. Others superstructures have no independent existence according to Marx. They are rooted in base and are reflection of base itself. If change in history, so economic structure changes and one has to bring the revolution. So once economic structure changes, other structure would automatically change accordingly. But Gramsci explains that Marx had not given enough importance to superstructure and Marx has taken for granted superstructure. So Gramsci told that it is needed to be understood the role of superstructure in understanding history itself. So he is called theoretician of superstructure. I am searching for the name who had told superstructure. Okay, it will come later. Yeah, impact of what? So what was the impact of Gramsci's treatment of superstructure on Marxism? So Marx has rescued of the monocausal explanation given by the Weber. So Gramsci saved Marxism from economic determinism. That's it. He had rescued by using the concept of cultural factors shaping the history given by Benedetto Croce. Now we shall move to the next topic, is that Gramsci's model of history. So what is the model? He says that this is three-layer model where superstructure are structures in themselves, where there are three components: a state, civil society, and economic structure. Institutions of superstructure are not just the reflection but a structure in themselves. So what is structuralism? Structuralism is an approach in social sciences which has influenced our modern philosophy. Structures are means fundamentals. Can somebody explain this concept?
As per what I could find on internet, this theory, structuralism, says that structure is more important than the function. Though I could have searched more, but because time नहीं था तो इतने search कर पाई नहीं.
Okay. So actually structuralism is an approach used to study social sciences, and it has influenced our modern philosophy as well. Yeah, that's good. And structure are the fundamentals which affects the which affects the functioning of the society. So their structures are said to be fundamental. Even in international relations, we also studied that the structures or a structural system constrains the policy makers or decision makers. Okay. So Marx was a structuralist. Yeah. He also used structures like to understand society scientifically. He tried to understand the basic structure of society, and he found that economic structure is basic structure. Ambedkar tells that Brahminism is the basic structure in India, and one who is called Shulamit Firestone tells that patriarchy is the basic structure. That's a different thing. But Gramsci, yeah, he also tells that he went for the structuralism, but he tells that economic structure is not the only structures. He gave three structures and gave the concept of integral state, where integral state is a civil society plus a state combined. So what is the role of civil society and what is the role of a state? So with respect to role of a state, he tells that it is executive committee of bourgeoisie class. Marx tells it is executive committee of bourgeoisie class, an instrument of exploitation. So workers should capture the state. Gramsci tells actually it is integral states and it also includes civil society in itself, and acts as an instrument of coercion represented by police and army. And later, he will in the civil society he will tell that site for manufacturing consent. So role of civil society means it appears as neutral, but it is not so. It is more closely aligned with the base, and it acts as shock absorber, and that is first line of defense to protect bourgeoisie interest. There are two cases given by Gramsci, that is civil society, if it is more free, then revolution is difficult because it will be transparent. If civil society is suppressed, so easier to bring, earlier one was opaque. If civil society is suppressed, so it is easier to bring revolution, because an example is given through Tsarist Russia or Western democracies. If civil society is suppressed, so we can easily discern the oppressive nature of the system, and we will bring the true consciousness and class for itself, and revolution might happen. That's it. Opaque civil society and transparent state or opaque state. He gives two types of states, transparent and opaque. Transparent, civil society absent altogether. So it brings the exploitative nature of a state to front, and it becomes clear, visible. In opaque state, civil society is present, so exploitation of the state is invisible, but exploitation is there. So what is the functioning of civil society? Civil society maintains the cultural values. So when a state comes into picture, only when civil society fails, then a state comes into picture. Yeah. When we fail, and what does society do? So we see. Actually, civil society
one thing.
Manufactures consent.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. This line, that civil society acts as a shock absorber, can be related with safety valve theory of Congress. Can you relate it?
Yeah.
That was also acting as a cushion.
Exactly. Okay. Where was? So civil society manufactures consent in the favor of the dominant class. And what is power? So power is the ability to get things done from others. And what are the types of powers? fear, that is power of coercion, that is through police, and love, that is power of attraction through the civil society. Bourgeoisie class maintain their domination by both fear and love. Bigger role of attraction is there, then it becomes hegemony. So love of attraction is with respect to civil society, and power of coercion is through the state. Yeah. What is hegemony?
This can be related with the example of with the example of modernity. If we take it to international level and get into ethnocentrism, then we can say that USA is a hegemon, and its idea and the Western idea of modernity is a hegemonic idea, because we also don't realize that this idea of modernity is actually Western. We take it as natural, as normal. Okay, इंडिया में भी, इनफैक्ट साउथ एशियन कंट्रीज में भी, बाकी जो साउथ एशियन कंट्रीज हैं उनमें भी मॉडर्निटी का कंसेप्शन वेस्ट से लिया गया है. ठीक है, तो वेस्ट मॉडर्निटी हमें अट्रैक्ट भी करती है कि जो लोग मॉडर्न कंसिडर किए जाते हैं, नॉट फॉर द ऑर्थोडॉक्स की बात नहीं हो रही है यहाँ पे, जो बाकी लोग हैं, नॉर्मल लोग, दे कंसिडर मॉडर्न पीपल एज गुड पीपल, के मॉडर्न व्यूज हैं, अच्छे व्यूज हैं, प्रोग्रेसिव हैं. मॉडर्निटी इज कंसिडर्ड प्रोग्रेसिव. उसकी पॉजिटिव कनोटेशन होना भी एक टाइप की हेजेमनी को दर्शाता है, एंड इट अट्रैक्ट्स पीपल कि मॉडर्न लोग हैं, प्रोग्रेसिव हैं, तो इट इज एडमायर्ड बाय पीपल. दैट्स द सोर्स ऑफ अट्रैक्शन. दैट इज इट.
Okay. So what is hegemony? Next topic. What is hegemony? If we go with literal sense, then it is leadership. Gramsci redefines it as domination. Missing means what is there? Domination using power to force others to act as per our wish. It is an ideology where exploited feel happy about getting exploited. Yeah. It is the soft power, that is patriarchy, Brahminism, capitalism as a way of life. Yeah.
This line, exploited feel happy about getting exploited.
Rather, they don't get happy, means they feel sense of belongingness to the system in which they are getting exploited. They feel as if the system present is for the benefit of them, but it is not so.
They live in false consciousness.
Exactly. If we go with words of Marx. So here 3 examples are there given: patriarchy, so Shulamit Firestone; Brahminism, B.R. Ambedkar; capitalism, Gramsci. Where were we? Yeah, workers don't hate capitalism. Why? So hate that they are not capitalists. They just means they accept that system is good. Just we want to be in capitalist. They just don't hate the system. They just don't have formed a class in itself, rather a class for itself. Consciousness is to be needed. That is why Gramsci will bring the organic intellectuals in play. Okay. With moderate leaders, they developed a counter hegemony, developed a critique of colonialism. So that was like generating, means exposing the system. Otherwise, we want to be civil servant under British colony. We want to be army general in British colony, but we were not knowing what is the actual thing was going on. Okay. One who served in their official positions with respect to Britishers. Attraction is towards bourgeoisie way of life. They have control over the thought process of the workers itself, means capitalists. When attraction towards capitalism is there, so cannot revolt against the system. Hegemony is manufacture of conscience, and that gives favor to bourgeoisie. Hegemony is set of idea which determines the limit of common sense itself of the bourgeoisie, of the proletariats. Hegemony must be built continuously, and it can't be taken for granted. So even Suhas Paliskar stated that hegemony of BJP is greater than hegemony of Congress when it was there. Means BJP has set the tone of nationalism and Hindutva, and even Congress and other parties have started playing the soft Hindutva card or whatever it is. So they are just they are trying to increase their accommodation in the system set up by BJP itself. They are not trying to, they are not capable of giving alternative views. Rulers must show sensitivity to aspirations of ruled class. Yeah. Otherwise, they will develop consciousness and they will revolt against the systems.
Which scholar did you mention?
Where? Suhas Palesikar. Suhas Palesikar.
Suhas?
Palesikar.
What's the spelling?
Palshikar.
Palshikar. मुझे आवाज क्लियर नहीं आ रही है, तो I have to make it clear.
If you will search na Suhas Palesikar, it will come. Don't worry.
All right, thank you.
So that was all about hegemony. Later in international relation, we see that hegemony through cultural hegemony in economic hegemony, military hegemony, whatever hegemony, US hegemony in post-Cold War. Someone had told, somewhere it was written that once upon a time there was a greater hegemony of USSR than USA itself. Hegemonic stability theory, Robert Gilpin. That's it. So now we shall move to revolutions given by Gramsci. So he will say that mental revolution is needed. What had Marx told? Material revolution. So, but Gramsci tells that material revolution will make no difference without mental revolution. Kyun? So, first thing, it might not happen, and if at all it happens, then it might not sustain. So, why we see that application is also there with Lenin's idea of a role of party, Communist Party, as friends and philosopher of the party, as vanguard of revolution, protector of the revolution, whatever it is. He proposes 2 steps of revolution: war of position and war of maneuver. War of position is against civil society, protracted ideological and cultural revolution. So Bipin Chandra extensively used these terms, concepts in explaining Indian national movement. Indian national movement was a protracted movement. So why was it protracted? Because it was part of war of position was going on there. Developing counter hegemony of subaltern class was needed. For that, coalition of subaltern class was there. It was needed. War of maneuver, direct attack on a state. After the counter hegemony is established, then Bipin Chandra and Gandhi movement is Gramscian movement. Even whole INM was a Gramscian movement. So now moving towards the role of intellectuals. So actually, intellectual will play the part of the hegemony, means count for the counter hegemony. 2 kinds of intellectual by him, organic and traditional. He assumed initially intellectuals were assumed to be neutral. They tell the truth and have high degree of respect in the society. But Marx had told, ideas, false constitutions, and intellectuals are the exploiter class. They lead to the exploitation of the proletariat. They use ideas. Gramsci also told that the intellectuals have played biased role. There is nexus between intellectuals class and dominant class. Yeah, even today there is a different story as well. But we also see that intellectual class have nexus with the dominant class, or rather we can say that we can't write it, but we can see that there is nexus between print media and ruling party, ruling power, and electronic media and ruling power, whatever it is. And even intellectuals, proper intellectuals who write, who says, who debates, who deliberate, etc.
And parties hire intellectuals to understand what is actually going on in the current politics. If you know about it.
Sorry?
I said even political parties to understand what identity, whether it is caste identity or religious identity or ethnic identity, which identity is dominant in current politics or what is actually happening in current politics. So to understand that, parties hire political intellectuals who read all this and who explain it, so that parties can devise their propaganda accordingly.
That is like a cadre of intellectuals. But if we see larger picture in any society, even in past or present or medieval era, there will be nexus between intellectuals and dominant class, Brahman and Kshatriya.
Yes. Nice example.
Yes.
So yeah, yeah.
I'd like to add something that in today's scenario, there's one more institution called political. I'm not recalling the term, but yeah, the role they are playing is to manage their whole party cadre also, or even the ideology too. Uh, like Prashant Kishore type people, they and his company and his organization, they all are making all the analysis for parties. So they can be also some pseudo organic intellectuals of party, but they are mainly strategists, party strategists. Yes.
So they are actually in the process of manufacturing consent, generating ideas. So Gramsci it tells that intellectuals play biased role. There is nexus between intellectuals class and dominant class. So if we see that even our development models, so today it is not 100% true. Gramsci's idea, even subaltern class now have their intellectuals, organic intellectuals. Now, at that time it
Yes.
would not happen. Even at that time also was there. Like now, whenever there was a Sufi movement, it is say Sufi and Bhakti movements, then there were voices against casteism and other bad practices of the society. So we can have the example that at that time also some organic intellectuals were coming from the subaltern class. Yeah, but Gramsci had analyzed. Actually, he had to say something, and he
Yes,
had to
yes.
analyze the things.
I reminded. Yeah, I recall the term. They are called political strategists, and the organization called IPAC of Prashant Kishore. They are making strategy for political parties. Parallel to this, there are some other institutions also working. Okay.
Okay.
Please continue, sir.
So they play a role. Marx tells that actually it is, he tells Gramsci tells that intellectuals are deputies of the dominant class. Marx tells in every epoch ideas of the ruling class is a ruling ideas. Intellectuals have role in manufacturing consent. There are two types groups. Organic intellectuals, productive requirements of economy. So new classes emerges as intellectuals. How is it so? Example, emergence of capitalism led to the other classes besides capitalists also come into existence, that is supervisor, engineers, document, public servant. So actually what we are inferring from meaning of intellectuals, that one who writes articles, one who debates, deliberate, etc. Actually supervisors, engineers, doctors, public servants, whatever it is, they are all playing the role of intellectuals. They are generating ideas through their way of life, through their statements, their lifestyle, whatever it is they are doing, they are generating ideas, manufacturing consent for their normal life. Because American way has become cultural all over the world. We accept jeans because it will be worn by Americans. It is not that Americans after wearing the tell that it is good, but after seeing them we just start following because of their hegemonic presence. So once these class like supervisors, engineers, doctors, public servants, etc. started emerging in capitalistic society, they started generating consent for themselves. So in India, we see British and Jamindar and civil servants helped maintain the domination of British. Similarly, organic intellectuals promote such values and support domination of the bourgeoisie classes. Later it will be told that we need also counter hegemony for organic intellectuals. Bhimrao Ambedkar, Mao from China there, and peasants should have. Gyan Pandey had told that peasants in India did not have any organic intellectuals for themselves. They were autonomous of Congress. Traditional intellectuals, traditional intellectuals are the intellectuals of previous era. They had existed before capitalism also, and they were church fathers, artists, etc. In feudal society, they had promoted values supporting aristocracy and resisted change. But once capitalist society got established, they start supporting the capitalist class. Capitalist class integrated them also. Okay. Capitalist class maintained its domination by coalition of classes who may not have identical but common interests. So coalition of classes and coalition of subaltern blocks. So coalition of classes may be any, but to have counter hegemonic idea, coalition of subaltern class should be there, because one who is suppressed is subaltern. So what is solution? So working class has to develop a coalition of subaltern classes. Means coalition means they also need to have identical, not only identical, but one who have common interests. Means Dalits, peasants, workers, etc. Women. They have to have some organic intellectuals of their own, and they have like technicians, supervisors, whatever. Then they also have to have some traditional ones also. For Gramsci, without intellectual revolution and without establishing injustice of their cause, there are limited chances of success of socialism and communism. So we can give two successful examples of the fructification of this idea, like in abolition of casteism by, and this idea has been used by Ambedkar, that it is just their cause is just, and it is just to abolish the casteism. And Mahatma Gandhi was also successful in telling Indians that it was just to get rid of Britishers.
One more thing. There was another person, I am not able to recall his name. There was a thinker from Indian political thought only. He said, independence of India is not only important for India, but also for the world. It is, what do we say? I'm not able to recall the exact
Arvindo
phrase which he
Ghosh.
used. Aurobindo Ghosh. And there was a specific line which he used for this.
Yeah.
So that is also justifying the cause of Indian independence.
Yeah. The rise of India as a nation will be something like this, na? Oh. Okay. Okay, I have forgotten this. That was there. Yeah. Yeah, it is about to finish. A solution was working class to have coalition, technician, supervisor, success of capital. For Gramsci, without intellectual revolution and without establishing justness of their cause, So thus working class needs to fight at two levels, at position, at maneuver. So Gandhi did. Gandhian movement was called Gramscian movement as it was a long drawn out struggle against the British hegemony, with Gandhi as the organic intellectual of the Indian masses. With respect to Ambedkar, we thought that intellectual revolution has itself led him to his success in his project. Rather, continuing success in his project, they are still marching with the help of revolutionary document called Indian Constitution of India. All men are intellectuals, but all do not perform the role of intellectuals, Gramsci. Even when we are wearing a jeans or any Western attire, or even then we are generating conscience, or we are functioning, working as intellectuals, whether we are creating or not, sometimes not. Every work requires some amount of intellectual labor. No work is fully manual. Hannah Arendt, na? Jus politicum laborum. So no work is fully manual with respect to Gramsci's idea, and however some intellectuals play the specific function of manufacturing concern, like political strategist. They are earning money from doing that, by doing that. Lobbyist, one who lobbies, and whatever it is. So could someone summarize Gramsci? It's almost over type of thing. Very short. Dev bhai.
Okay, sir. I'd summarize. So Gramsci was so सबसे पहले तो मैं अपना बता देता हूँ मैंने कैसे Gramsci को remember करा. Gramsci was a contemporary of Gandhi, although they both of them never met, but both of them have similar strategy or similar route of revolution. This is said by many scholars. Okay, so Gramsci was also contemporary of Mussolini. इनके ideas थे जो मार्क्सिज्म को आगे बढ़ाए. फिर इसकी एज थी 1891 से 37 तक, और एक गांधी के भी कंटेम्पररी थे. इटली में फाउंडर थे ये कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी के. फिर what was his main concern? He was worried that Marxist predictions are not coming true. तो इन्होंने क्या करा, reanalyze Marx's understanding of history और also saved Marxism from economic determination, और जो एक मार्क्स ये वेबर कहते हैं कि मोनोक्लॉजल एक्सप्लेनेशन, इससे बचा है। इनका स्कूल ऑफ थॉट था मार्क्सिस्ट। इन्होंने इन्फ्लुएंस करा नियो मार्क्सिस्ट को, और इन पे इन्फ्लुएंसेस थे मैकियावेली के, कार्ल मार्क्स के और बेनेडिक्ट क्रोस के, जो बोलते हैं कल्चरल फैक्टर्स शेप हिस्ट्री। फिर इनके की प्रिंसिपल है एक जो, वो है कल्चर हेजीमनी और काउंटर हेजीमनी की बात कर रहे हैं। इनकी 2 किताबें, प्रिजन नोटबुक्स और मॉडर्न प्रिंस। अच्छा, एक और इंटरेस्टिंग फैक्ट था कि इनका पब्लिकेशन सब, ये इनको जेल में डाल दिया गया था इटली में मुसोलिनी के द्वारा। बट जब ये बाहर इनके वहां से निकल जाने के बाद बहुत सालों बाद प्रिंट हुआ, फिर सब ये बाहर आया। तो इन्होंने एक्सप्लेनेशन ऑफ हिस्ट्री ऐसा दिया है कि मार्क्स का था हिस्टोरिकल मटेरियलिज्म, और जिसने सिर्फ बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ सोसाइटी बताया, इकोनॉमिक स्ट्रक्चर को। पर ग्रामसी ने उसको बताया कि ये दिस कुड बी इंडिपेंडेंट ऑफ, सॉरी, ग्रामसी बता रहे हैं कि सुपर स्ट्रक्चर्स जो है ये दे आर इंडिपेंडेंट और दे आर देमसेल्फ द रियलिटी ऑफ द बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर। ठीक है, तो इसका इम्पैक्ट ये था, ग्रामसी का इम्पैक्ट ये था ट्रीटमेंट ऑफ सुपरस्ट्रक्चर में मार्क्सिज्म, ऐसा कि मार्क्स का मोनोक्लॉजल एक्सप्लेनेशन फॉर चेंज ऑफ हिस्ट्री, तो ग्रामसी सेव्ड फ्रॉम इकोनॉमिक मार्क्सिज्म फ्रॉम इकोनॉमिक डिटर्मिनिज्म, ऐसा बताया। फिर ये ग्रामसी मॉडल ऑफ हिस्ट्री, तो ये 3 लेयर बताते हैं। तो मार्क्स ने 2 लेयर बताई थी, इकोनॉमिक स्ट्रक्चर और स्टेट। तो ग्रामसी ने बताया कि तीनों अपने आप में वैल्यू रखते हैं, और दूसरा एक बीच में एक स्ट्रक्चर बनाया है सिविल सोसाइटी का, ठीक है, विच एक्ट एज ए कुशन। तो इंस्टीट्यूशन ऑफ सुपरस्ट्रक्चर आर नॉट जस्ट द रिफ्लेक्शन बट सुपरस्ट्रक्चर इन स्ट्रक्चर्स इन देमसेल्व्स, ये बता रहे हैं। फिर इनकी प्रोसेस स्ट्रक्चरलिज्म। अब ये रोल ऑफ स्टेट पे बात करें तो ये कहते हैं कि ग्रामसी कहते हैं कि इंटीग्रल स्टेट इंक्लूड्स सिविल सोसाइटी, एक्ट्स एज इंस्ट्रूमेंट ऑफ कोअर्जन रिप्रेजेंटेड बाय पुलिस एंड द आर्मी। फिर ये जो इनका 3 वाला मॉडल है, इसमें दूसरा रोल है सिविल सोसाइटी का। ये ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट बताते हैं कि इट अपीयर्स एज न्यूट्रल, ठीक है, मोर क्लोजली अलाइंड विद द बेस, एक्ट एज शॉक एब्जॉर्बर्स और फर्स्ट लाइन ऑफ डिफेंस टू प्रोटेक्ट द बोर्जुआइज इंटरेस्ट। ठीक है, मार्क्सियन थॉट है तो वो बोर्जुआइज के अगेंस्ट ही होगा, और वो समझाते हैं। फिर 2 केसेस बताते हैं कि सिविल सोसाइटी इज मोर फ्री, अगर मोर ज्यादा फ्री है तो रिवॉल्यूशन डिफिकल्ट होगा करना, और अगर सिविल सोसाइटी सप्रेस्ड है तो इजियर होगा रिवॉल्यूशन करना, जैसे जार ने करा रशिया में, और वेस्टर्न डेमोक्रेसी में नहीं हो पाया। फिर 2 टाइप ऑफ स्टेट्स बताते हैं, एक तो ट्रांसपेरेंट स्टेट्स, ओपेक स्टेट्स, जहाँ पे सिविल सोसाइटी के एब्सेंट और प्रेजेंस के ऊपर बना हुआ है। फिर ये बताते हैं कि व्हाट डज सिविल सोसाइटी डू। तो सिविल सोसाइटी का भी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट बता रहे हैं कि इट मैन्युफैक्चर्स द कॉन्सेंट इन द फेवर ऑफ डोमिनेंट क्लास। ठीक है, तो ये पावर का भी बताते हैं कि पावर इज द एबिलिटी टू गेट थिंग्स डन फ्रॉम अदर्स। सो हाउ, तो एक बताते हैं फियर की पावर ऑफ कोर्जन, और एक बताते हैं लव, द फियर ऑफ अट्रैक्शन, जैसे जैसे थ्रू द सिविल सोसाइटी लव का बताते हैं। फिर बोर्जुआइज क्लास मेंटेन देयर डोमिनेशन बाय बोथ फियर एंड लव, और बिगर रोल है अट्रैक्शन का हेजीमनी के प्रति। जैसे एग्जांपल देके बताते कि कैपिटलिस्ट को हेट नहीं करता है वर्कर ज्यादा, बस वो ये चाहता है कि वो इसलिए उससे लव नहीं कर रहा है क्योंकि वो उस जगह पे नहीं पहुंच पाया। सो दिस सिग्निफाइज द रोल ऑफ अट्रैक्शन। ठीक है, ये हेजीमनी में भी बताते हैं। तो अब आगे की हाउ व्हाट इज हेजीमनी, तो इन कॉमन, इसको अगर लिटरली समझे तो ऐसा है कि ये तो लीडरशिप है, बट इट कुड बी अंडरस्टूड इन वन लाइन दैट इट इज द लिमिट ऑफ कॉमन सेंस। कुछ एक आइडिया है जो आपकी कॉमन सेंस को लिमिट कर रहे हैं।
ये वाली जो लाइन है कि आप बोलो, कंटिन्यू करो, मैं एंड में बोलती हूँ।
अच्छा, ओके। So it is an ideology which exploited feel happy about getting exploited. He feels that the system present is benefiting themselves. Okay. तो जैसे इंडिया में बी आर अम्बेडकर कहते हैं कि ब्राह्मणिज्म हैज द हेजीमनी, इफ आई एम नॉट इनकरेक्ट। तो जैसे पैट्रियार्की है, और जैसे कैपिटलिज्म एक वे ऑफ लाइफ है वेस्ट में, तो हेजीमनी इज मैन्युफैक्चर ऑफ कॉन्सेंट, manufacture करती consent in the favor of bourgeoisie. So hegemony must be built continuously and not be taken for taken for granted. Also ये बताते हैं कि rulers must show sensitivity to the aspirations of ruled classes. फिर
now
ये
I want to say something.
yes
ये जो एक
please.
लाइन है कहाँ गई? ये कैपिटलिज्म इज अ वे ऑफ लाइफ इन वेस्ट. तो कैपिटलिज्म प्रमोट करता है मटेरियलिज्म को, मटेरियलिस्टिक वर्ल्ड को. और वेस्टर्न वर्ल्ड को देखा जाए तो वेस्टर्न वर्ल्ड भी बिलीव करता है मटेरियलिस्टिक कंसेप्शन ऑफ हैप्पीनेस. ठीक है, उनके लिए एक सक्सेसफुल, एक लीजरफुल लाइफ जीना मतलब आपके पास महंगा बंगला हो, गाड़ी हो एंड ऑल, मटेरियलिस्टिक वर्ल्ड बेसिकली. ठीक है, तो वहाँ पे कैपिटलिज्म एक वे ऑफ लाइफ बन चुका है. और दूसरा, ये कैपिटलिज्म को हेट नहीं करते वर्कर्स, वो सिर्फ इस चीज को हेट करते हैं कि वो कैपिटलिस्ट की पोजीशन में नहीं है, वो पावरफुल पोजीशन में नहीं है, क्योंकि उन्हें लगता है कि कैपिटलिज्म प्रोवाइड करता है उन्हें भी अपॉर्चुनिटी कि वो भी वर्कर्स, वो जो वर्कर्स हैं वो भी कैपिटलिस्ट की जगह पर आ सकते हैं. वो ये नहीं पहचान पा रहे हैं कि सिस्टम इस तरीके से क्रिएट किया गया है कि वो कभी वहां पर पहुंच ही नहीं पाएंगे, और पहुंच भी पाएंगे तो बहुत एक्सेप्शंस, कुछ रेयर ही केसेस मिलेंगे ऐसे जहाँ पे एक वर्किंग क्लास से उठ के बंदा कैपिटलिस्ट की पोजीशन पे जा पा रहा है. सो दैट्स व्हाई दे डोंट हेट इट. उन्हें लगता है कि अभी इसमें होप है.
Yeah, example from Indian context also with respect to Brahminism, we find that Dalits are being oppressed in the name of caste or ritual practices. Still, they worship the gods worshipped by Brahmins, and they want to. The Sanskritization was the direct effect of this. And one thing, second thing is that I forgot in the course of telling itself. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, Rajni Kothari very well put करते हैं कि संस्कृताइजेशन तो संस्कृताइजेशन अडॉप्ट
sorry sir, M.N. Srinivas.
अच्छा, ये M.N. Srinivas पुट करते हैं संस्कृताइजेशन.
Yeah.
अच्छा, ओके, सॉरी फॉर दैट. तो ये बढ़िया एग्जांपल है संस्कृताइजेशन की. हम ब्राह्मणिज्म को अपोज भी कर रहे हैं पर उसको हम फॉलो भी करना चाह रहे हैं, संस्कृतिज्म.
No, we are not opposing Brahminism. Brahminism was the basic structure, hegemonic idea. We were just wanting to improve our system in that Brahministic system.
Yes.
Just like in medieval India, many castes are trying to be make themselves upper in the position of the hierarchy.
That itself is Sanskritization.
Yes. They are actually ritual hierarchy पकड़ के अपनी जो पोजीशन है, ग्लास है, उसको बढ़ाना चाह रहे हैं. ठीक है, this is Sanskritization. But Dalits didn't like Brahmanism also, na. So, but also they were doing Sanskritization in themselves, adopting the Brahmin practices. So in a way, they didn't like the oppression, but they were following the customs that were practiced by the Brahmins. I think this was the Sanskritization.
Yeah, Sanskritization means the text and religious texts were written in Sanskrit, na. So in that text means Rig Veda, Vedas, Manusmriti, Upanishads, and Manusmriti, those were written in Sanskrit, and they were the Brahmin was the hegemonic ruling idea. So means the Dalits were not countering the Brahminism or the ideas written in Sanskrit. Rather, they want to get in the upper ladder in the hierarchy prescribed in the Sanskritic text itself. So M.S. Naikar had countered the Brahminism in South India, frontal attack on the Brahminism, on the hegemony of the Brahmins. In Maharashtra, we see, or pan India level, we see the Ambedkar attacked the Brahminism at the basic structure. So he told that it is a basic structure. He also used the concept of Marx or Gramsci itself, that here Brahminism is the basic structure.
ठीक है, आगे बढ़ते हैं. ग्रामसी को समराइज करते हैं. सर ने बहुत अच्छे से पुट करा. तो ग्रामसी का अगला इशू था रिवॉल्यूशन का. तो ग्रामसी इसी को लेके मेन उनका जो चेंज था मार्क्स की स्ट्रेटेजी को लेके, वो यहीं से स्टार्ट करते हैं. तो रिवॉल्यूशन वो कहते हैं कि वी रिक्वायर मेंटल रिवॉल्यूशन, नॉट जस्ट मटेरियल रिवॉल्यूशन. तो वो मेंटल रिवॉल्यूशन की बात करते हैं 2 स्टेप्स में, वार ऑफ पोजिशन और वार ऑफ मैन्यूवर. तो हमारे यहाँ के इंडियन नेशनल मूवमेंट को बिपिन चंद्रा साहब बता रहे हैं कि दिस इज अ ग्रामसियन मूवमेंट वेयर इंडिया वाज डेवलपिंग इट्स पोजीशन इन अर्लियर स्टेजेस ऑफ national movement, and when India was in position, they had the war of maneuver. That was called the direct attack on the state for the best example is Quit India movement. Now the sixth, his concept of role of intellectuals, and this is the most important point in Gramsci. So, and another thing is here the organic intellectuals or the counter hegemony movement. So ये बोलते हैं कि traditionally they were assumed, intellectuals were assumed to be neutral, they tell the truth, and high degree of respect in the society, they commanded the high degree of respect. But Gramsci ने बताया कि they had the biased role and formed nexus between the intellectual class and the dominant class. Intellectuals are deputies of the dominant class. He used to call that. And Marx, in every epoch, ideas of the ruling class are the ruling ideas. So वो कहते हैं कि we have to manufacture the consent. अब वो दो ग्रुप्स में कैटेगराइज करते हैं इंटेलेक्चुअल्स को. तो वो कहते हैं कि ऑर्गेनिक इंटेलेक्चुअल्स जो खुद इमर्ज होते हैं रिक्वायरमेंट्स ऑफ द इकोनॉमी के हिसाब से ये बनते जाते हैं. तो जैसे एग्जांपल बताते हैं कि सुपरवाइजर्स, इंजीनियर्स, डॉक्टर्स, पब्लिक सर्वेंट्स, जैसे जमींदार हुए ब्रिटिश एरा में, तो ये बताते हैं कि प्रमोट सच वैल्यूज एंड सपोर्ट डोमिनेशन ऑफ द बुर्जुआइज क्लास. उसके अगेंस्ट में दूसरा इंटेलेक्चुअल्स बताते हैं कि ट्रेडिशनल इंटेलेक्चुअल्स जो इंटेलेक्चुअल्स ऑफ द प्रीवियस एरा, लाइक द चर्चेस, लाइक द फादर्स ऑफ चर्चेस एंड द आर्टिस्ट. फिर फ्यूडल सोसाइटी में कि दे सपोर्टेड एरिस्टोक्रेसी वगैरह वगैरह. तो कैपिटलिस्ट क्लास इंटीग्रेटेड देम आल्सो. तो दे चेंज विद द ड्यू कोर्स ऑफ टाइम. तो कैपिटलिस्ट इंटीग्रेटेड देम आल्सो. अच्छा, अब ग्राम्सी साहब बता रहे व्हाट्स द सॉल्यूशन टू दैट. तो ये कहते हैं कि कोएलिशन ऑफ सबाल्टर्न क्लास इज टू बी मेड एंड दे हैव टू क्रिएट देयर ओन ऑर्गेनिक इंटेलेक्चुअल्स. फिर उनको फाइट करना पड़ेगा दो लेवल्स पे, एक तो पोजीशन पे और फिर मैन्यूवर करने के लिए, वार ऑफ मैन्यूवर पे. तो उसका बेस्ट एग्जांपल इंडियन कंटेक्स्ट में गांधी वाज द गांधीयन मूवमेंट वाज कॉल्ड एज ग्राम्शियन मूवमेंट as it was a long drawn out struggle against the British hegemony, with Gandhi as the organic intellectual of the Indian masses. फिर इनका ये स्टेटमेंट है, बढ़िया है, कि all men are intellectuals but all do not perform the role of intellectuals. जो कि ये कहते हैं कि सबके पास ये नॉलेज पर ये परफॉर्म नहीं करते हैं. तो every work requires some amount of intellectual labor. No work is fully manual. However, some intellectuals specific function of they do the specific function of manufacturing consent. तो ये इनके छह इश्यूज थे, इंटेलेक्चुअल्स का, रिवॉल्यूशन का, फिर हिस्ट्री का मॉडल को लेके, और फिर उन हिस्ट्री को समझाने के लेके. ठीक. तो दिस वाज ग्राम्सी, दिस इज इट. अच्छा, आई वुड लाइक टू ऐड वन मोर थिंग कि यहाँ पे एक इशू है, यहाँ पे एक चीज है जैसे जिसको बोलते हैं इंटरपिलेशन. ये किसी को पता है? कोई ऐड करना चाहेगा?
I've heard of this, but I am not able to recall what exactly it is right now.
Can you repeat the word?
Yeah, it was given by Althusser.
Interpellation. Yes.
It was given by
Louis Althusser.
Yeah, but I don't know exact the meaning. It's just like creating hegemony type से thing. Yes. Or using this, but I don't know exact sense.
मैं इसको आसान भाषा में समझा देता हूँ कि we accept interpellation. Louis Althusser साहब बताते हैं कि we accept any idea which is presented to us, devaluing our own ideas. जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल शुभ्रा मैम बताती कि I like coffee. तो कॉफी क्यों? क्योंकि you are being interpellated certain ideas that captured your mind कि हमको यही पसंद है, हमको कॉफी बताया तो we started liking coffee. So this is interpellation. तो इसके लिए मार्क्स कहते हैं कि we are standing on our heads, we have to stand on our feet, so to understand this.
Yeah,
it can also be understood with an example of LGBT movement. In a feminism, ma'am used to say that we say heterosexual is okay. Heterosexual is organic. We say it is organic, but bisexual is not. Who we are to say this? Because many people are heterosexual. That's why they are saying heterosexuality is natural, and same sexuality is not natural.
Making the things.
I'm not able to explain well, but you may have link that idea.
Yeah, means we are shaped in a way to think in that way.
That's all.
Yes, yes. They are
हाँ
limiting
like
our
common sense
limiting
बनाना
our
है ना.
thinking by creating
We are,
common sense.
yeah, we are made to absorb their idea. We are made to assimilate their ideas, and we are to made to think as a normal about their ideas.
You can link it with feminism. One thinker says women are not born women; they are made women because of the process of socialization.
That is more about existential and existential and essence of
But
Jean-Paul Sartre,
that's
given by
also about,
Simon de Weber.
yes, but that's
Yeah,
हैबरमास का
also
yeah,
about
यूनिडायमेंशनल
how.
मैन है ना.
yeah. So
यूनिडायमेंशनल मैन.
हाँ, exactly Habermas का उन्हीं the way she is telling कि you are made to be woman and not a born woman, means they are fed the things or way of thinking that you are so, you are so, you are so, means they are interpolated the
Yes.
male stream ideas which is shaped by the males. So that is there, yeah. So these are the applications or the consequences of the interpolation. Means patriarchy is the consequence of the interpolation used by male.
Yes.
Even after now, one who is not capable enough to think, or rather say if she is not having given the critical education, so they will also start accepting that we can't drive properly. When few persons will tell that you can't drive, women can't drive properly, they will start accepting, yeah, we can't drive properly. This is like such interpolation is that. So yeah, just like means add on the Gramsci. 2-3 add-ons from my side is that in Bobbio, he told him the theoretician of superstructure, and he was the second most influential thinker after Karl Marx in Marxism. That's it, indisputably.
Sir, repeat please.
Theoretician of superstructure, N. Bobbio, N.Bobbio.
रिपीट करेंगे क्या बोला था एन बॉबियो ने.
Theoretician of superstructure, Gramsci को वो लिखा हुआ है theoretician. It is written there in notes as a simple sentence, but it was given by N. Bobbio.
अच्छा ये
Actually,
यार एक बार स्पेलिंग बता सकते हैं क्या दोबारा से?
हाँ, Bobbio, Bobbio. If you all are asking so many times now, so please kindly recheck it. Otherwise, I might be wrong, and you all will be interpolated by my wrong spelling. It was written in their notes. Actually, ma'am also.
N. Bobbio calls Gramsci the father, the theoretician of superstructure, or N. Bobbio himself is called the theoretician of superstructure. I'm confused in
No.
that. Please clarify.
He calls Gramsci a theoretician of superstructure.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, we observe that in ma'am's notes, many key ideas of many thinkers are written just as a simple statement without ascribing to their scholars. Like this, it has become so normal now. It has become banality of those statements. It has become normal for us to accept as a thinking, but it was given by, if any ma'am or sometimes a state starts, political science starts and ends with the states, so it seems to be normal, but it was given by J. Garner. So sometimes it is written, and many times these are not written by ma'am. So these are the concepts, and one of these was theoretician superstructure. Okay, let's move to, I think, Hannah Arendt.
It is easy to return the statements, but it is not easy to remember the name of the scholar.
Yeah, that's why she tells later in IR that just use the key ideas instead of their names. It
becomes too hectic.
Exactly.
Hello.
Yeah.
So my question is, in answer we have to मतलब हमें क्या लिखना चाहिए कि ऑथर का नेम भी लिखना चाहिए स्कॉलर का, या सिर्फ वो सेंटेंस टाइप?
जो याद आ जाए एग्जाम के टाइम में भाई, राइटिंग के समय में.
हाँ.
जिस फ्रेमिंग में मैटर करता है. उस समय में आपको जो जो उस मोमेंट में मैटर करता है कि आपको आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है, और आपके स्किल पे मैटर करता है कि वो कैसे आप कोड को मैच वो थॉट लाइन ऑफ थॉट से लिखते चले जा रहे हो। कभी कभी ना आप इतना याद करने के बाद भी आपको नहीं आता वो आंसर राइटिंग उस टाइम, तो बी प्रैक्टिकल ऑन दैट।
Okay. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, the main thing is ideas, if you can represent it in any form. वही, this is the main thing. ठीक है दशरथ सर, आगे बढ़े। I think now is Hannah Arendt. We have to do Hannah Arendt. Dashrath sir, am I audible to you? लगता है he is not there.
दृश्यम सर, ओहो मैं माइक बंद करके बोल रहा था, सॉरी।
Okay sir. Now is Hannah Arendt sir.
Okay. I need some help in this topic. Otherwise, Hannah Arendt, yeah, whatever it is. Hannah Arendt is one of the seminal political thinkers known for the power and originality of her ideas. So even she uses the word in different meanings. She gives many concepts and new meanings according to her. Whatever she think it appropriate to ascribe to those words, she did that. He is also a reformer thinker. She wanted to reform many things, so she is called heterodox thinker. Hannah Arendt uses phenomenological way of thinking that is based on observation. She observes a phenomena, then she tells a theory. That is approach to explain phenomenology. Concepts like totalitarianism, she observed Hitler, Mussolini, and whatever. She observed human nature and theory practicing somewhere. She observed the actions, people's action, whatever it is, and to power etc. And she gave theory on that. She herself explained her thinking as thinking without borders, like Reporter Without Borders. Yeah, Doctors Without Borders. So she is thinking without borders, not border of international border. It is thinking without any barrier put by any ideology, thinking a school, religion, whatever it is. Her age belongs to 1906 to 1975. So, contemporary of Adolf Eichmann and Hitler. She was 30s when the World War II broke out. She was also during the First World War. Place USA, German Jew. So obviously, if she being German Jew, she will have touch with the Second World War happening. Concern is about civic republicanism and deliberative democracy. School of thought is there, yeah. No school of thought. How is school of thought? Civic republicanism, if it is there. Influences, books, Origin of Totalitarianism, On Human Conditions, On Revolutions, and Eichmann in Jerusalem. Methodology.
School of thought is civic republicanism only.
Yeah. Methodology, that is phenomenology. Concepts are based on experience, observations, thinking without barriers. First concept is totalitarianism. Let's see whom she attacks. Book's name is Origins of Totalitarianism. So she will find what is the origins. So this book is also most controversial, where she has analyzed the horrors of Nazism and Stalinism both. Means USSR and Germany. More than history, she has focused on the nature of totalitarianism. So yeah, book's name is Origin of Totalitarianism, but she focused on the nature of totalitarianism. Totalitarianism, according to her, is rule of myths, violence, and terror. In her words, totalitarianism is totalitarianism. What does it mean? Means cruelties it perpetuates are on such an unprecedented scale that there is no other term to explain totalitarianism. Means she tells that first focus on totalitarianism. if we go in dictionary, we will find different meanings, and many other ideological thinkers will tell their different meanings. But according to Hannah Arendt, the only meaning will be the meaning given by Hannah Arendt. So we can't tell that why she is telling so. Being a student, we have to accept that. Totalitarianism is totalitarianism because the level of cruelty which it perpetuates is such that she doesn't want to give another word for totalitarianism, that it is bad, it is good, it is catastrophic, it is, it means, then it means. She finds the roots of totalitarianism by studying and observing the phenomena of European history, where basis for construction of myths and use of violence was there. So how was there? On violence, actually later it will be discussed or something where that when people are fearful, then demagogues use this opportunity in the time of crisis, economic crisis, political crisis. Demagogues use their views, ideas and actions for generating consent for their rule, and that leads to totalitarianism. So in European history, it was going way. Means in interwar period also, means misery of Germany, pride of nationalism was fueled by Hitler, supremacy of Nazism. That was, at that time there was economic crisis, crisis of identity, crisis of pride for Germans. So she had studied this, observed this, and she, by observing this Europe of interwar period, which E.H. Carr later tells that, what does he call, 20 years crisis, something like this. Can anybody tell the name of E.H. Carr books when we study the great debates in international relation? 20 years crisis, something like
20
this.
years.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, you are right. 20 years of crisis or 20 years of war.
Okay.
20 years crisis.
No, it's was,
Yeah.
I think it was crisis, interwar crisis, ऐसा नाम था शायद.
मैंने research किया है. It is showing the 20 years crisis.
Okay.
Okay,
Introduction
interwar
to
के
the
बीच में जो
study of
क्राइसिस था
international
उसका था शायद वो.
So,
Yes,
yeah.
Year 1999 to 1939.
Yeah, so that 20 years crisis or European history of those 20 years led, there were economic crisis of 29, we can, there were identity crisis in many countries because linguistic basis. In Germany there was crisis of nationalism, pride of nationalism, pride of Germans were had hit the rock because of First World War, Treaty of Versailles. So all this led for the demagogic leader to find a place suitable for their rule by arousing the ideas, consciousness, and arousing their whatever it is. I am forgetting the exact word. So for their justification of their rules, their excessive nature of operations, etc. So Hannah Arendt had observed that. So she tells that totalitarianism, as in European history, basis for construction of myths and use of violence, myths of supremacy of race, myths of supremacy of state used by Mussolini earlier, former one was used by Nazi. On violence, it tells others use violence as a means to an end. Means if an animal is using violence or if a criminal is using violence, so that was a means to an end, to rob someone, to murder someone, to take a revenge or to have food by animals. But in totalitarian governments, violence became an end in itself. There is little strategic rationality in the scale of violence used. I am unable to explain this. Can anybody help? Means the scale of violence which is used, in that there is little strategic dimension there. Means
yes,
how
I would
much.
like to add here. Yep, you continue.
Sir, you tell first.
So here she mean to say that any way when someone do violence, there is a end because he want to do something. Just like you said earlier that if tiger want food, that's why he will kill deer. Okay, but in totalitarianism there is no end. It means they don't want anything, but they just want to they just want control to continue. They are making violence, but
yeah,
in spite of their having control, if we can say if we take example of China, okay, in Mao's era, they do violence to take government in their hand, but when they get government in hand, despite that, they don't keep silent. After that also they kept on violating. So that's why she is saying there is no end to violence.
Yeah, you have made it clear that is there is little rationality. Means there is no rationality in the scale of violence. Means how much violence should be there? Means now we see that with respect to operation of any revolt or any armed rebellion, or whether it is peaceful protest. So we use rationality in using the force, in using the violence used by the police or a state. But in totalitarian, violence had little strategy rationality. Means how much will it be used? It is not dependent on any rational idea or any logic or reasoning, but it was used for the purpose of being used.
जैसे कि हम जंगल में गए, समझो जंगल में गए और एक टाइगर चाहता है कि उसको शिकार मिले, वो किसी शिकार को मार के खाता है, अब उसका पेट भर गया, उसके बाद भी वो जानवरों को पकड़ के मार रहा है, उसको खाना नहीं, फिर भी मार रहा है. That's why he's saying it is not rational.
Yeah, little strategy.
If we read history, then in the chapter which covers Hitler's this massacre, all that, it is written that he was influencing children, masses, youth, all of them by changing the text, changing the content of the textbook. Matlab he was there is one movie, Jojo Rabbit, which clearly depicts how he was socializing kids. अगर you are a male, you are a male child, तो you should be very violent, you should have all these characteristics कि आप soft नहीं होने चाहिए, anger आपकी बेसिक नेसेसिटीज होनी चाहिए, आपके बेसिक कैरेक्टर होना चाहिए, आप वायलेंट होने ही चाहिए. वो ये प्रमोट कर रहा था अपने टेक्स्ट बुक में कि आप जब स्कूल से लोग निकलेंगे बाहर तो उनका माइंडसेट ऐसा बन चुका होगा कि वो वायलेंट ही बन के निकलेंगे. अदरवाइज नेचुरल बन जाना चाहिए वायलेंस, कि वायलेंट होना नेचुरल है.
There is a concept called new man, which आप जो बोल रहे हो ना उसी से associated है. She also addressed that thing कि new man originate हो गया था उस time में, like who was very obedient, who didn't question the authority. और वो fascism से hodgepodge ideology है ना, वो propagandism करते थे, तो वो उससे attain कर रहे थे वो power भी. So you have to link up with that also.
All right, thanks for adding that.
Yeah, so we are moving. Thanks for your inputs. Terror, with respect to terror, we see the other regimes use restricted speech and expression. Yeah, that is also terror. But terror used by the totalitarian state was like to try to control thought as well. Yeah, we already discussed by giving the concept of new man. Not only the body but also the soul of the person have to be changed. Masses. So totalitarianism is mass phenomena. End of class politics. That is mass politics. Unprecedented mass support to unprecedented criminality. Again, we can use this we can discern its application in the concept of new man. Totalitarianism as movement of masses, that is superfluous entities. Means they are not having any deep entities, any basic entities. It was a movement of masses. So how can it be superfluous entities? Can anybody explain it?
Superfluous entity means they are treating their leader as a god, actually. So that's become like Mussolini.
वो था ना डेफुरर वाला, डेफुरर कॉन्सेप्ट था ना, like लीडर सुप्रीम करके. हाँ, तो उसी से लिंक कर सकते हैं आप.
ओके,
कौन सा कंसेप्ट बोल रहे थे आप? नाम क्या है? फ्यूहरर,
डे फ्यूहरर हिटलर है ना, फ्यूहरर बोलते हैं उनको.
ओके, हाँ, एग्जैक्ट, हाँ, बराबर, फ्यूहरर. ओके, याद नहीं था. सही बात, थैंक यू.
या so yeah, totalitarianism is a movement of masses, superfluous entities are assigned to them. So totalitarian state maintains itself by use of extreme violence first, by using ideology also, propaganda plus myths. Later we shall see that she attacks ideology itself by citing this example only. Like onion, it is multi-layered means totalitarian state is multi-layered structure. That is, masses are outermost and core leader is innermost. Further, she criticized Rousseau's general will concept, where he tells to force to be free. Actually, this force to be free concept was misused by Hitler, Mussolini. I will
Before
force you to free.
before we go towards that, वो ओनियन लाइक मल्टीलेयर स्ट्रक्चर बता रहे ना, उसका मेन इंटेंशन ये है कि जो कोर में जो सुप्रीम लीडर है वो कोर में, जैसे कि हिटलर इज एट कोर. ओके, सो ही नोज एवरीथिंग. whatever around him, they also know everything, but as they go outward, the people don't know anything. Just like आगे आएगा वो, जैसे कि वो आइकमैन इन
जेरूसलम.
नीचे का कॉन्सेप्ट है ना, नीचे का कॉन्सेप्ट ओवर मैच करके आप जो कह रहे हो उसी से रिलेटेड है.
हाँ, तो वहां पे आइकमैन को पूछा गया था कि आप व्हाई आर यू सो वायलेंट. ओके, उसको पूछा गया था कि आपको कुछ गलत नहीं लगा क्या है, तो वो जवाब देता है कि आई वाज डूइंग माय ड्यूटी. तो इट बिकम टू नेचुरल, और उसको मालूम भी नहीं था कि हम गलत कर रहे हैं एक्चुअली. तो वो उधर बताने का मेन इंटेंशन है कि वो इट इज ओनियन लाइक स्ट्रक्चर. कोर को सब मालूम है, और जैसे जैसे बाहर जाओगे वैसे वैसे कुछ भी मालूम नहीं.
पेनाल्टी ऑफ इवल है ना वो. तो
बेनालिटी ऑफ इविल
हो गया. तो
नहीं, बेनालिटी ऑफ इविल तो है ही, वो सही बात है आप बोल रहे हो जो, लेकिन वो उसका मेन इंटेंशन बोलने का वही है कि जैसे जैसे अंदर जाओगे कोर में सबको सब पता है, और जैसे जैसे बाहर आओगे लोगों को पता नहीं है हम क्या कर रहे हैं. एक्चुअली हिटलर को मालूम है कि हम रॉन्ग कर रहे हैं, लेकिन उसको वहां पे रूल करना है. हिटलर के आजू-बाजू के लोगों को मालूम है.
Sir, banality of evil is a consequence.
हाँ, banality of evil is consequence, बराबर.
एंटी रैशनलिज्म मूवमेंट भी तो था, फासिज्म कह सकते हैं.
या एग्जैक्टली
कनेक्ट कर सकते हो आप.
जी. So we are moving ahead. Rousseau's general will, where he tells that a man can be forced to be freed. So she criticized that. She tells that Rousseau went for romanticism, that is emphasis on emotions, individualism, reviving medievalism and against industrial revolution. Yeah, revive medievalism is there, but against industrial revolution and individualism, फोर्स टू बी फ्री, सुपर स्टेट का सुपरमैन का कॉन्सेप्ट और स्टेट का कॉन्सेप्ट है. मुसोलिनी विल यूज दिस आइडियाज. कैन एनीबडी एक्सप्लेन these lines?
किसका ओवरमैच का?
No, Rousseau's general will forced to be free, where it was criticized for romanticism, means emphasis on emotions, individualism. It led to revive medievalism and it was against industrial revolution.
Individualism, though I understand why she was criticizing Rousseau for individualism, because when it comes to individualism, people are only concerned about themselves. They are not concerned about what is happening around them in the society. So way they don't follow civic republicanism. That is why she is criticizing Rousseau for promoting individualism, but other things I'm not able to understand.
Adding on that, revive medievalism is also there, means it was going to be used for this idea was going to be used by the leaders who commands every kind of authority or power. So means in the name of force to be free, they will subject them to their wishes or wills.
One more point I would like to add. Reviving medievalism means they are giving right to states. Okay. Yeah. So in medieval there were right to states, and Hannah Arendt is a modern thinker. Then there were democratic prevalence over there. So she is criticizing because Rousseau is also saying state is everything. Okay. So republicanism को ये against republicanism है. That's why she is criticizing and it is reviving of medievalism.
Okay. And against industrial revolution, how was it forced to be free? General will. Can anybody? Okay, so we shall find it later if possible. Gobineau had given the concept of myth of racial superiority of Aryans, and that myth was used by Hitler. So Hannah Arendt will observe that phenomena also, and she will criticize Gobineau. Means Gobineau had told that the fall of Aryans has been there because of intermixing of blood with inferior races like Jews and Africans. Gobineau went for tribalism, means a strong loyalty to tribe. Yeah, that's it. Imperialism could defeat other people, strengthen the myth of racial superiority. So you see, Hannah Arendt also criticized imperialism because it was here other people were being defeated or subjugated, and it strengthened the myth of racial supremacy. We can give the example of white man's burden or civilizing mission concept used by Britishers. She analyzes the reasons and conditions behind totalitarianism. She blames romanticism, giving example Rousseau, tribalism, Gobineau, and imperialism. Exactly. Stability gets affected, and years of war and World War I, Europe were ground for growth of such ideas. Yeah, because of things. We had analyzed it. Modernity was also responsible for rise of totalitarianism. Because of modernity, there came economic sphere become more important than political sphere, and focus were on the industrialization, focus were on the use of machines, and economic production was increased.
Here
So
you
they
can
became
relate it with the point against industrial revolution. That is the reason why she was criticizing industrial revolution, because the focus shifted from political sphere to economic sphere.
okay.
Sorry, I
Yeah,
interrupted in between.
No, you gave valuable points. Thank you for. Yeah, economic sphere become more important than political sphere getting neglected. So she will later advocate that political sphere have to be there. I say that means real human conditioning is jus politikon. So victory of animal labor on over jus politikon was there in those times. So she will go for political participation, deliberative democracy. Civic republicanism. So decline in deliberative democracy led to bourgeoisie state, and that led to classes into masses. Europe was the perfect ground, and various factors mentioned above gave rise to totalitarianism. Comment: Hannah Arendt has very analytical work done by her. She helps us understand contemporary regimes like North Korea, ISIS, and Taliban. Yeah. Means ki initially Taliban very good, but when the action of Taliban will come at the door of that person, what is he doing? Now we are moving to Hannah's theory of action. Means animal labor on, homo favor, and June politikon. Yeah, philosophy context of this theory of action is she gives the philosophical justification for need of forced civic participation. And why does she want so? Because it was neglected during interwar period in Europe, and that led to the rise of totalitarianism. So she had to give a theory for civic participation, justification for civic participation, and she gave the theory of action to justify her thoughts. In ancient period, we see that Aristotle had the same concerns for democracies in polis state, city polis. She gives this theory of action in her book on human conditions. Again, using phenomenological approach by observing the work done by the human. Humans perform two types of actions: thinking, that is vita contemplativa, and action, that is vita activa. Action is more important than thinking. It was there with Plato. Plato focused on thinking. Marx told that first historical act was the production, then it led to thinking. But action is more important than thinking. Action means thinking and action. Thinking is there. In action, there is a animal laboran, means labor, work, and action. So what is labor, what is work, what is action? What is labor? So it is animal laboran, means even animal perform natural necessities. Man has no substitute to them. If one is hungry, then one has to eat food. that is natural necessities and animal labor. Now work, homo favor, economic actions. Only humans perform. Actions of doctor, engineer, partially free. Yeah, partially free. Economic, but still we see that if economic factor is important, economic aspect will get more importance, then it will lead to the fertile ground for the totalitarianism. So she went ahead by telling that action, that is June politikon, means political action, is highest of all actions. When man performs this, then they will be free in real sense. So I think this is kind of medications for prevent from getting into the mode of totalitarianism. Differentia specifica separates man from animals. What is differentia specifica? Different specific function. Pata nahi. I don't know.
Can man has the power to think? Man has reason, which differentiates man from other animals.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, quite apt. Thank you. So now we shall analyze the June politikon action. What are the components? So two components are there. First is freedom, means natality, birth, capacity to do something new. It leads to freedom leads to capacity to something new. If there will be no freedom, then how can we do something new? How can new birth can take place? So plurality, everyone is equal, yet everyone is diverse. Means everyone is equality, yet everyone is diversity. So means in everyone is equal, yet but there is diversity there. It is interlinked with freedom need, because freedom needs plurality. If we bring homogeneity, then freedom will not be there. She saw this condition in the killing of Jews by Hitler. Hitler was bringing uniformity, Gobinius concept, purity means like in tribalism. So she went for telling that freedom must need plurality. Artists need audience. Here something was there, but I am forgetting what was written there with respect to artists and audience.
These two can be related. These are two interrelated concepts. Freedom, she conceptualized freedom as capacity to do something new. When you can bring something new to the fore, then you will be considered free. Now for the existence of freedom, society should accept the things which are new. If the society is not letting new things emerge, then freedom cannot exist. So plurality is where she's saying freedom needs plurality. Artists needs audience. Audience can be related with society now. Okay, people should accept. People should actually, we can say, what do we call it? I'm not able to find the apt word here, but people should tolerate others' views, new views. They should accept it. They should let them emerge. That is what is being told here, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, freedom is also in natality, birth, means capacity to do something, and that should be entertained, that should be cherished, new things. Otherwise, everyone will be like, no, Aryan, no Jews, nothing new. And freedom, artist needs audience. How can we relate artist needs audience?
हाय मैं इस पे ऐड करूँ क्या?
जी सर, बिल्कुल.
हाँ, तो इसमें बेसिकली what she is trying to say is you cannot exercise freedom on your own. Like आप एक individual level पे freedom नहीं exercise कर सकते. You need society where you can exercise those rights. And when you are exercising those rights and society is accepting those things, then actually you are free. ठीक है? जैसे अगर आप किसी रूम में बैठे हो तो आप ये नहीं बोल सकते कि मैं फ्री हूँ. ठीक है, वहां पे आप कुछ ऐसा एक्सरसाइज नहीं कर रहे हो जो दूसरे इंडिविजुअल को इम्पैक्ट कर रहा है. तो जब आप सोसाइटी में इंटरैक्ट कर रहे हो, पॉलिटिकल एक्शंस ले रहे हो, then only you can be considered free. You cannot be considered free as an individual. When you are in society, then only you can considered as free. So
इसका एक्सप्लेनेशन मैडम ने ऐसा दिया था कि फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच आप घर में बैठ के अकेले भी बोलते रहोगे, आपको फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच है, फायदा क्या? आप सोसाइटी में जाके आपका फ्रीडम, आपका स्पीच एक्सप्रेस कर पाओगे तो ही वो फ्रीडम है.
ओके सर, समझ गया, गॉट इट. But that must be authenticated and absorbed by others. Otherwise, there is no real meaning of freedom. According to Hannah Arendt, action is speech and speech is action. If difference, both become irrelevant. So action and speech must be same. Expression of action, action is expressed, and what is expressed should be turned in action. Otherwise, if there is difference between action and speech, action and thought, so that become irrelevant. Why to think when it can't be acted upon? When we do not participate in political affairs, we are not leading our lives as humans. We are just in homo favor or animal liberon. Yeah. So we in the theory of democracy, deliberative participatory democracy, we can use freely the idea of Hannah Arendt. Even in Panchayati Raj institutions answers, like we can use this. Hannah's concept of power.
Yeah. As per Hannah Arendt, she says that action is speech and speech is action, and in case they are different, they both become irrelevant. But in my notes, it's written that Hannah Arendt has criticized Plato for he gives priority to speech, thought. And okay, so this speech is different from thought. All right, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Where was Hannah's concept of power? Important. Okay. Power intro, so whatever the intro in the theory, power is a contested concept, power is this, power is that. Hannah's intro, so Hannah was civic Republican in phenomenology, whatever this. Phenomenological analysis of power also she observed, and she given the theory definition according to her. Power is the capacity to act in concert for a public purpose. So there are two things: acting in concert, and second thing, public purpose should be there. Acting in concert, so it can't be done alone. So acting in concert with each other. For understanding each other, by understanding each other, we can develop harmonization among our interests with others. It must not be coercive, because purpose of power is not domination but empowerment. So whenever there is power, theory of power, so we can always write answers on the theory of power. Means power as empowerment, enabling, means Gandhi's view, Hannah Arendt's view, Macpherson's view, even in democracy. So it is not power is not coercive. Purpose of power is not domination and but empowerment. In order to understand power, we need to understand the difference between power and some other concepts. So she is using this concept: power versus strength, power versus force, power versus violence. But be cautious. She will define all the terms in her sense. Power versus strength. Strength is property of an individual, whereas power property of collectivism or people. Yeah, individual and collectivism. Power versus force. Force belongs to the world of nature. Natural things have force. Power is related to social world. Power versus violence means power belongs to the people, violence to the state, and use of violence is never justified. So again we see that she was describing the society of Germany, USSR. She was studying totalitarianism, so she also had different notion with respect to power. She has also went for the participation. So she give the attributes of collectivism, social world, and people in her concept of power. With respect to power and
constructive view of power.
Yeah, you are right. Thank you, sir, for getting the technical word. Yeah, thank you. That was constructive view of power. That is technical term. Thank you, sir. With respect to power and legitimacy, power itself is a source of legitimacy. Yeah, for her. Otherwise, according to Max Weber,
और एक बोला गया है phenomenological view of power है.
Yeah, it is written there. Phenomenological analysis of power. She observes the things and she gives the theory. Thanks. On the basis of above distinction between power versus strength, power versus force, power versus violence, and powers and legitimacy, we can give following feature to the power concept of power according to Hannah. Power does not belong to an individual but to the people. Source of power is sui generis. It is appears on its own when people come together and dissipates when they go back to their private affairs. Means civic participation must be there, political participation must be there, June politician must be there for the action of they come for the existence of power. That then only it will be there. Economic resources or police state is not a source of power. It is sui generis. since people are acting together, gives legitimacy to the political institutions. So how is it legitimacy? Means power is itself is source of legitimacy, because power is power comes when it is acting in together. Acting in together means it is a political action, and that means that it is action is legitimate. Means power, people are acting together, means give legitimacy to the political institutions. Power is political power. Emphasis on the necessity to participate. So it is, she emphasizes the necessity to participate in police or in the state, or she calls it the state of appearance. Tradition of civic republicanism is there, inspiration to leaders of deliberative democracy. Yeah. Anything to add in concept of power? It was constructive view of power by Hannah Arendt, Macpherson, and Gandhiji, where he gives the concept of oceanic circles of power. Voice to voiceless, power to powerless. Okay, 1-2 concepts are there, so we shall finish, then we shall do it. Hannah's concept of political.
मैकपर्सन का क्या था? इसका भी कुछ स्पेशल है क्या? मैकपर्सन व्यू ऑफ पावर.
Developmental model of democracy, na, extractive power and developmental power.
Okay.
पॉसेसिव इंडिविजुअलिज्म का क्रिटिसिज्म था वो, तो उन्होंने नया मॉडल दिया था, डेवलपमेंट मॉडल दिया था. तो एक्चुअली वही है.
Extractive power means you get the things done which others don't want to do. It is with the capitalists and others. But in developmental model, you gain the capacity to do the things which you cherish. It comes nearer to Amartya Sen. Rather, Amartya Sen come nearer to Macpherson. Hannah's concept of political is based on the concept of power and theory of action. So her concept of political is based on concept of power, because power will is sui generis, comes on its own, and when people come together, so it automatically will link to the political action. And theory of action, because action means that it should be June politikon, so it is again linked there. Most important action is political action, which is true human condition, as man is June politikon. Concept of power explains political power, non-conventional view of power and politics. She gives a non-conventional view of power politics, yeah, of course, because its concept explains political power. Conventionally, it was assumed that power and politics belong to the elites. Hannah says belongs to the civil society. Circulation of elites, rule of oligarchy, she right means Pareto, Moscow, etc. Conventional power, it was power of dominations, but Hannah says for empowerment, situation of people in concert with each other, means one is helping other, one is helping another, so that leads to empowerment of one another. Her concept of banality of evil, it was published in H-Man in Jerusalem in 1963. Change in her, it reflects a change in her ideas. Earlier, she did not lay much importance on thinking. We had seen she focused on action more, but now she also started focusing on thinking. Now she gives importance to critical reasoning. In banality, I think if she would have lived 100 more years, then again she would have redefined. It is with respect to everything, I think. In banality of evil, she tries to explain how evil becomes normal and faceless. Two technical things: normal and faceless. So Adolf Eichmann, Nazi general, he was a Nazi general. Hitler's Holocaust against Jews and trials in Jerusalem showed to no remorse. Yeah, these things are clear, I think. While reporting for the trials, it was not the fault of Eichmann, but the type of society in which he was living. So reason behind such crimes, so it was not the result of fault of the Eichmann that he was committing crime, but yeah, type of society in which he was living. Okay. Happens when critical reasoning and moral consequences of actions are not evaluated. Exactly. We don't criticize anything. Critical reasoning is not there with respect to any action, or moral consequences of actions are not evaluated by us. Then it can happen. When the society promotes a culture of obedience, like in Hitler, Mussolini's, nothing beyond a state, everything beyond within a state. When the society promotes a culture of obedience and starts taking evil as routine acts, concept of Newman. So, in words of Hannah, Eichmann did not kill Jews because of hatred towards Jews, but because of absence of imaginative capacities. He personally didn't have any hatred, but he was not having the imaginative thinking capacities. Whether he was doing good thing, bad thing, he was not having critical reasoning. Each man was incapable of exercising that kind of judgment. Even if he would have, so he was incapable of exercising that kind of judgment. He became the cog in the wheel, zombie. That would have made him realize his victim's suffering as real. No, he was not able to realize those things. Yeah. Each man failed to exercise his capacity of thinking, having a dialogue with himself. He could not have a dialogue with himself. He could not deliberate, contemplate on the things. He could not be aware of evil nature of his actions. So people are not psychopaths or sociopaths. Even ordinary people who obey the order of their state like a good bureaucrat. Means, yeah, we can say that means someone tells the fire at the poor. We are, being SP or DM, we just order to fire on the poor, and after that we see that actually their land were being snatched and that were the only property they were having. So that can be. According to Hanna, if such crimes against humanity are being committed on daily basis without being adequately opposed, if it's getting opposed or discussed or criticized every day in parliament, in public sphere, it becomes part of public reason, then it will not become banal, normal, faceless, because everything, every day, their existence itself is being questioned, whether a FASPA is right or wrong, whether a FASPA is right or wrong. If you want justifying or FASPA, 13 kill, 14 kill, then it will become banal type. Society means criminals are accepted, crime become routinized, and it will become banal. In her words,
two ideas are playing here. First, can I?
Yeah.
Okay. So जो ये अभी ये line है, people are not those who committed these crimes. For example, the Ekmen, they were not psychopaths or sociopaths. उस टाइम की जो सोसाइटी जो हिटलर ने क्रिएट कर रखी थी ना, उसके हिसाब से वो नॉर्मल था. सोसाइटी ही इतनी, सोसाइटी का बेसिक एसेंस, ह्यूमन नेचर के बारे में मैंने बताया था थोड़ी देर पहले, एग्जांपल भी दिया था कि एक मूवी थी उसमें दिखाया भी गया था, टेक्स्ट बुक में भी है ये, टेक्स्ट बुक में भी, कि हाउ ही वाज सोशलाइजिंग पीपल टू टर्न देम इनटू एविल, वायलेंट. ठीक है. और ये था इफ सच क्राइम्स अगेंस्ट, ये उस टाइम पे नेशनलिज्म जो सबसे स्ट्रॉन्ग, वन ऑफ द वेरी मोस्ट स्ट्रॉन्ग आइडेंटिटीज को यूज कर रहा था, नेशनलिज्म को यूज कर रहा था. मतलब तो रेसिज्म को नेशनलिज्म से लिंक कर दिया जाता था कि इफ यू आर नॉट डूइंग दिस तो आप नेशन के अगेंस्ट जा रहे हो, और नेशन के अगेंस्ट तो कोई भी नहीं जाना चाहेगा. और दैट कोई क्वेश्चन ही नहीं करता.
अल्ट्रा नेशनलिज्म,
ओके,
फासिज्म है.
अल्ट्रा नेशनलिज्म.
सोशियोपैथ का मीनिंग क्या है? सोशियोपैथ का मीनिंग
वो
क्या
अपने नो साइकोपैथ means they will want their society to be supreme. Yeah, this is so, this is so, this is so. Psychopaths, they won't use the content reasoning what is wrong with the society, what should be good according to the society, need of society, but they will do, they won't justify just the consequences of the actions on basis of social thinking of society.
सोशियोपैथ बना दो शब्दों से, सोशो और पैथ. सोशो का मतलब होता है सोसाइटी, और पैथ एक लैटिन वर्ड होता है जिसका मतलब होता है बीमारी या डिजीज. तो सोशियोपैथ वो होता है जो सोशली इररिलेवेंट होता है और उसको सोशली मेंटली रिटार्डेड पर्सन की तरह क्रिटिसाइज करते हैं उसको, कि वो बंदा सोसाइटी की नॉर्म्स को नहीं समझता और एंटी सोशल नॉर्म्स के हिसाब से चलता है, उसको सोशियोपैथ बोलते हैं.
ओके, थैंक यू. Let me complete 3 more points, then we shall again discuss 3-4 topics. Okay, we shall come again. In her words, evil becomes banal when it acquires unthinking and systematic character. When ordinary people participate in it, they build distance from it and justify it in countless ways, in the name of society, in the name of racism, in the name of a state, in the name of nationalism, whatever it is, religion, etc. Means mob lynching, it can become banal. Rather, it has become banal in Pakistan. It is there, yeah. Blasphemy, yeah, it's good. Blasphemy, yeah, good. Blasphemy, kill it. That's like. Sometimes in the name of nationalism, Indian, kill it. Indian spy from raw, kill it. There are no moral conundrums or revulsions. Even it doesn't come in the mind of themselves. What will be the consequences of society? What will be the consequences of psychology? What is the actions? What are the moral consequences? No, nothing. Just kill it, blasphemy, kill. Evil does not look like evil. Yeah, it's because, blasphemy, kill it. Even governor was killed. It becomes normal. That's it. In current Indian context, I will say 2094 rights, vigilante lynching, Nirbhaya, Bulandshahr violence can be seen as example. I think we should not write, otherwise we will be written off from the marks. Next, she gives the critique of modernity. Modernity is loss of the world. Actually, she analyzed the modernity, the phenomena of modernity, industrial revolution, and she finds the consequences that it leads to the domination of the economic sphere over political sphere. Modernity is loss of the world. Metaphor means nuclear explosion, killed humanity, broken European traditions. What were the European traditions which were broken? Made economic spheres important in the political sphere. Victory of oiko means socio-economics over the means political. Gave rise to totalitarian end of freedom. Yeah. So can anybody explain that term metaphor nuclear explosion means it was at such a high level of modernity that it killed the humanity itself? Can anybody throw some light?
Like nuclear explosion is deadly, in similar way modernity is also deadly to humanity. Somewhere comes close to what Rousseau was saying about modernity.
What was Rousseau saying?
Rousseau also says same thing, na, कि modernity is basically made human into a depraved animal. He's just going after passion.
Exactly, sir. Thank you, sir. Moving ahead, Hannah Arendt on revolutions means doing something new, but not violent. So yesterday we had told that revolutions from Plato, John Locke, Hobbes, Marx, Hannah Arendt now tells that means doing something new, but not violent. Means civil disobedience type. Even Gandhi went for civil disobedience movement. Thoreau went for civil disobedience movement. So means doing something new without being violent should be given freedom. Should give freedom. Compared American Revolution and French revolutions. American gave political freedom, created institutions of representative democracy, but not direct democracy was there. A French Revolution gave socio-economic freedom, gave economic freedom, but led to tyranny of few. Even Marx had criticized the French Revolution by telling that it had means it gave liberty, equality, but it did not give the rights. Fraternity, it could not give the fraternity. It stopped just before fraternity could arrive.
Basically, he criticized saying that in French Revolution, although they had action, but they did not have the understanding that why do we exactly need this revolution. That's why he criticized French Revolution.
उनका rational था revolution पे कि revolution brings the instability in the social order, instability ला देता है किसी भी तरीके से, तो वो एक तरीके instrument of tyranny हो जाएगा या फिर कुछ ना कुछ changes आएंगे, लेकिन वो instability जरूर लाता है, which is not good for social order.
According to Hannah Arendt or
Hannah Arendt की बात कर रहा हूँ.
Okay, yeah, thank you. That's why she went for non-violent revolution, mean like civil disobedience. But now she compared American and French. She praises American for giving representative democracy, but not. But yet there was no direct democracy. Rather, she may criticize both, but she compared it. Conclusion. So relevant event today. So which concepts are relevant event today? So for participatory democracy, June Politicon, civic republicanism, concept of power, constructive view of power, and penalty of evil, and rise of authoritarianism. Global realizations without people participation, good government not possible. Inspired deliberative democracy similar to Gandhi, Swaraj, or Ramraj. Wow. Comment Hannah Arendt very analytical work. Comment question Hannah Arendt very analytical work helps us understand contemporary regimes like North Korea as Taliban. Yeah. So we can give still 2-3 examples after Stalin and Hitler. We can give the example of North Korea as and Taliban. In current Indian context, again, we ठीक है, okay. Hannah Arendt criticized modernity because it can lead to totalitarianism. For Rousseau, yeah, we had explained this. That is not a real pleasure. Science doesn't lead to real pleasure.
वो एक बार फिर explain करेंगे क्या? How modernity lead to totalitarianism?
Who was? Can anybody explain? I am unable to do this.
because of modernity, we can relate it with industrial revolution and all. Because of modernity, man has become individualistic, which means he's concerned about himself only, not about the society. And in the economic sphere, we can relate it with capitalism, in which man is concerned about economic sphere only, not concerned about political participation. So that way, state gains more and more power while we are busy doing the economic stuff only. So that way, state becomes totalitarian.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's clear now.
It's very clear. Thank you.
Okay.
Can we quote Taliban as an example of totalitarianism, or should we not quote?
Why
But
not
is it
quote?
relevant?
Yes,
Taliban, North Korea, ISIS, all of them are totalitarianism. They are using religious fanaticism. They also use the conditions prevalent in interwar period of Europe, economic lack of economic welfare, lack of economic stability, lack of political stability. So yeah, concept of lack of modernity may not apply with respect to Taliban, but they are totalitarian. Totalitarian means totalitarian according to Hannah Arendt.
Also, they are totalitarian because they are using violence as an end. क्योंकि they are using it क्योंकि उनको ये चीज normal लग रही है. They are using it in the sake of jihad or in the name of religion. कि ये तो धर्म की बात हो रही है. हम धर्म को बढ़ावा दे रहे हैं. हम violence थोड़ा ना कर रहे हैं. But actually वो realize नहीं कर पा रहे हैं कि वो violence की वजह से कितना लोगों का नुकसान हो रहा है.
Then it will become a means to achieve an end. But Hannah Arendt was telling that it is an end in itself. If we analyze that thread by thread, not Taliban, with comparing the theory of Hannah Arendt, then I think every example will not suit. So rather, if it is there in notes, it is suitable to write that. They are totalitarian.
Yes.
Otherwise, if बाल का खाल किया तो in social theory and political theory, nothing is like science that it is fitting, then it is fitting.
सही बात है, सही बात.
Okay, Rousseau. Man should be forced to be free. It was used by totalitarian. He was also father of romanticism. So the romanticism means like giving philosophy. So playing with the ideas, playing with the foresightedness. So it was used by a different man. Hitler used the concept of Superman, concept of March of God on Earth, of Hegel idea. He also used the force to free. Man can be forced to free. Actually, Hitler forced man into free. To be free. Even Hitler did that. So that was being misused. Gobinius, the idea of that Aryan superiority, fall of Aryan due to intermixing of blood with Africans and Jews, tribalism, so all it was used maximally Nazism. Pratap Bhanu Mehta in India tells that authoritarian regimes tends to use anti-corruption politics, right, as means to consolidate power. Okay, how it? Genuine anti-corruption movement requires genuinely independent institutions which authoritarians try to control for self-benefit. The example of Saudi Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Actually, he has led to imprisonment of his cousins in the name of anti-corruption politics. So Mohammed bin Salman was consolidating power, and means one who was the third, fourth, fifth in crown's succession. So here it was going like that. So Pratap Bhanu Mehta tells authoritarian regimes, giving example of Saudi Arabia, to use anti-corruption politics as a means to consolidate power. I think they can use anything. But since Pratap Bhanu Mehta is telling, so we can use the exact example of anti-corruption politics. He also analyzed the genuine anti-corruption movement. We can see in India requires genuinely independent institutions which authoritarians try to control for self-benefit. Yeah, but leave it here only. No flagging. So, any new idea, concept, whatever, anything, or should we summarize it very fast?
Yes, if और अगर किसी को आइडिया हो तो प्लीज ऐड ऑन योर आइडियाज.
फेनोमेनोलॉजी जो है मार्टिन हेडिगर से इंस्पायर्ड है ना, तो यहाँ पे मार्टिन हेडिगर का नाम ही नहीं है.
Which one?
Martin Heidegger.
Yeah. But what was his concept?
Phenomenology है ना, उन्हीं से इंस्पायर्ड है, उन्हीं की स्टूडेंट रही है.
So can you write the name? Can you spell it, please?
Martin, Martin, Heidegger, Heidegger.
Actually, that's what I was telling with respect to theoretician of superstructure. There are many concepts which are used frequently without attributing the real scholar's name. So it's good like that. If you know, then it's good. If you don't know, that's also good. Means Sark is a jammed vehicle. Whether you know the name of Jaishankar or not, that's a different thing. Jammed vehicle means it is jammed.
आपने स्पेलिंग गलत बताया थे, चेक कर लेना. HEIDEGER होता है.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I am going to summarize it very fast. So trying to read only key concepts and ideas. ठीक है, देव भाई देखिएगा थोड़ा सा. Hannah Arendt is one of the seminal, whatever it is, originality of her ideas and known for the power theory. Reformer thinker, phenomenological approach, observation, thinking without barriers. German Jew, went to USA. Civic republicanism, deliberative democracy. Books: Origins of Totalitarianism, On Human Conditions, On Revolution, H-Man in Jerusalem. Last one, a reformed one. Methodology, phenomenology. That's it. On totalitarianism, so most controversial, phenomena of Nazi and Stalinism, rule of myth, violence of terror. She gives the concept of violence, terror, masses as superfluous identities. Terror means terror try to control the thought as well. Violence as an end in itself. Criticize Rousseau, forced to be will free. Gobineau, myth of racial superiority of Aryans. Imperialism means myth of racial superiority strengthened. Regions, so Romanticism, tribalism and imperialism, interwar period of Europe, whatever it is there. Modernity was also criticized by her because of economic sphere got prominence over political spheres. So she will prescribe for theory of actions. She will go for civic participation. In her book on human conditions, phenomenological approach, again, two types of actions: thinking, vita contemplativa, and action, vita activa. Action is more important than her thinking. This will she revise it in her last book, H-Man in Jerusalem. Okay, by going for critical reasoning. But here, action is more important than thinking. Action, labor, work and action. Labor, animal labor. Work, homo favor, economic actions. Actions, June political actions, highest of all actions. Components of action, freedom, means it will give to worth, capacity to do something new. Plurality, everyone is equal. Equality, yet everyone diversity, means it should have audience, it should be accepted by someone. ठीक है, action is speech and speech is action. No difference, both become irrelevant. That's it. Hannah's concept of power. So power is a capacity to act in concert for a public purpose, acting in concert with each other, understanding each other, not coercive. Power versus strength, individual versus collectivism. Power versus force, so nature versus social world. Power versus violence, people versus state. Powers and legitimacy, so power itself is source of legitimacy. We will study later, because power is sui generis, acting in concern, that itself become a political action. So those actions become legitimate. So that is source of power is means power itself is source of legitimacy. Yeah. So she emphasizes on the necessity to participate in police, or she calls it a state of appearance, acting inside, power is there. Hannah's concept of political, or linked with the concept of power and theory of action. Hannah's theory of banality of evil, last means booked in H-Man in Jerusalem, 1963, change her ideas. Now she also gives importance to the thinking. Focus on critical reasoning, moral consequences of the actions to be evaluated. Example: H-Man did not kill Jews because of hatred towards Jews, but because of absence of imaginative thinking, imaginative capacities. H-Man was incapable of exercising that kind of judgment. Yeah. People are not psychopaths or sociopaths, ordinary people who obey the order of their state like a good bureaucrat. We can see the example. According to Hannah, such crimes, humanity, like the society, criminals are accepted, crimes become routinized, evil becomes banal. So it evil becomes banal when it requires unthinking and systematic character. Ordinary people participate, so if ordinary people build distance from it, and ordinary people justify it in countless ways, then it becomes banal. So moral conundrum and revulsion should be there. All those actions which we consider as evil must keep revulsing our mind, must keep on means arousing our thoughts. Otherwise it will become banal. Evil does not look like evil; it becomes normal, faceless. Yeah, faceless must be remembered. Critique of modernity, loss of the world, nuclear explosion, killed humanity, broken European traditions, made economic sphere important than political space, victory of social economics over police, oikos over police, gave rise to totalitarianism, end of freedom. On revolutions, civil disobedience, no violent, doing something new. It is not means overthrow of any system like Marx. Should give freedom. Compared American Revolution, French Revolution, American gave direct representative democracy, gave political freedom, but no direct. Just a stop. French Revolution gave socio-economic, but economic freedom led to tyranny of few. Conclusions relevant, yeah. See, global realization, globally relevant, domestically relevant, but in globally we shall give examples. Without popular participation, good governance is not possible. Even in Indian context, we can see this. Inspired deliberative democracies, Swaraj and Ram Raj. Constructive power also. Comment. Yeah, what am I reading? Very analytical words helps us understand contemporary regimes like North Korea, ISIS, and Taliban. Yeah. So Hannah Arendt criticized modernity to Rousseau, Gobineau, Pratap Bhanu Mehta, giving example Saudi Arab, authoritarian regimes tends to use anti-corruption politics as means to consolidate power. Mohammed bin Salman. That's it.
गाइस इसमें ना एक ना ये इशू रहता है कि हमारे पास ना बाकी सब स्कॉलर्स के क्रिटिसिज्म होते हैं, जितने भी हम WPT में पढ़ते हैं. एज सच हैना एरेंट पे कोई क्रिटिसिज्म किसी नोन स्कॉलर का नहीं है. तो किसी के पास क्रिटिसिज्म हो तो प्लीज एक बार ग्रुप में इस डॉक्यूमेंट के साथ पिन कर दीजिएगा.
Very good idea, sir. Actually, I think she is so free thinker, na, thinker without border. So many could not have, and she also does not fit in any ideology, na. So there is no ready-made critic. Second is few persons would have researched on her thinking.
Broadly, so far what I have understood is one criticism that is often attached to her work is basically she started living in USA and वहीं का कल्चर उनको ज्यादा पसंद आने लगा, तो इसीलिए वो अमेरिकन रेवोल्यूशन को प्रेफर करती है ओवर फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन. और कहीं ना कहीं जितने भी सोशलिस्ट रिजीम्स को देखते हैं, चाहे वो स्टालिन के अंडर हो, तो उन सबको वो यूएस के जो कह सकते हैं ग्लासेस, उसके नजरिए से देखने की कोशिश करती है. तो इसलिए उसको
that's why she is called as people called as her as a Cold War thinker.
या कह सकते हैं.
साइंटिफिक बेस है इसमें क्रिटिसिज्म का.
और तो मतलब ये चीज का
थिंकर दिया जो
one by one, sir.
मतलब ये क्रिटिसिज्म
we can remember that Cold War thinker. तो बाद में बाकी चीजें हम लिंक कर पाएंगे.
सो जस्ट अगर किसी और के पास कोई और थिंकर्स हो ना, जहाँ पे हम लोग क्रिटिसाइज, क्योंकि अल्टीमेटली व्हेन यू आर क्रिटिसाइजिंग यू नीड समवन ऑफ अथॉरिटी कि जिन्होंने हाँ बोला हो. जैसे हमारे पास बाकी सब के लिए सबाइन है वगैरह वगैरह, बहुत सारे स्कॉलर्स है सबके लिए, बट यहाँ पे कोई स्कॉलर नहीं है सच. तो अगर किसी के पास हो तो प्लीज डाल देना, इसी डॉक्यूमेंट के साथ एक बार लिंक कर देंगे तो सब आई थिंक अपडेट कर लेंगे. बस यही कहना था. थैंक यू.
All right, friends, thank you everyone for your participation and your valuable comments and value addition. If you are watching on YouTube and if you wish to participate in other such live voice chats and discussions, please join our Telegram channel and group, links for which are given on the screen as well as in the description box below. If you liked the video, if you enjoyed the video, I request you all to like video, share it among your friends, and please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. If you have any further doubts on the topic that we discussed in the video, please ask in the comment section below. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.